Testes, testes, 1, 2, 3.
You don't want 3.
I mean, it's frowned upon, probably.
Yeah.
Look, I saw
that
True.
needs surgery.
What was that? What was that movie called? It was that sci-fi Arnold Schwarzenegger thing. That was a great movie. This one was. I'll come up with it randomly. On the way into work yesterday, and we talked yesterday a few times,
Yeah.
or at least once. We don't have a lot of protests on.
Oh, on Panda Express?
Yeah, right over there.
I saw it.
I was hoping.
Coming back from court.
Well, they moved
At
from
lunchtime.
the Circle K likely to the Panda.
Okay.
What I liked seeing, a couple of things that so we're going to go immigration for a minute. We haven't talked about it in a skinny second anyway. But we got all sorts of crap going on. But we've got this protest I followed, and I sat there and I let the light phase and just sat there and stared at these folks, not, evil stare or anything, but
Just people watching.
People watching. And I'm seeing colors of the rainbow on their heads as far as hair goes. And there was more piercings than you could ever imagine. And I don't know how people of this age can get tattoos, but they do have those. But they're all high school students. Fair enough. All right, maybe I need to just open my eyes. I didn't know this.
I don't know.
But they're high school students. They're right from Mesa High down the street. These kids can't be more than 16, 17 years old at most.
Red Mountain had 300 kids walk out yesterday.
Okay, so this is not just a Mesa High thing.
It would have been colorful and whatever else if they had that many. But yeah, I get you what you were.
This was a very colorful bunch. You saw them. And I'm looking at their signs, and they're saying F ice, and they're saying ice melts in wherever, da-da-da-da-da-da.
And these were they were high school kids? That were
Yeah.
there?
And I think to myself, any one of my clients of days of yore that would have been a parent of one of those, if they were driving by in their pickup truck from work to go grab something, a bite to eat, and they spied their kid on the corner, it would have been mayhem, because that's not what their parents want their kids to be doing, in my experience.
Yeah.
Usually I'm representing the colorful kid, and the parents are distraught and working 2 jobs apiece and trying to figure out how to make a better life for this kid on the corner, saying F ice and things like that. And they're so angry. And I started thinking, there's so many ways to go with this, because obviously we got the Minnesota thing going on, and that's straight up gotten out of control, but that's 100% on the state. We have a complete bipolar opposite experience, you and I, during all the Arpaio years, where he was trying to do the Fed's job because they weren't doing it. So it's flip-flop. So Minnesota's over there going, we got nothing to do with this. And this backfired, I think, politically pretty poorly, frankly, on both ends. One, you've got some deaths now, and that's probably to be expected when somebody shows up with a gun to a protest. We'll find out what happens there. I'm not a big fan. I don't have an opinion on who's to blame or not on that. I have a lean that I hope for, but I don't like what happened at all. Then you got a gal that's, blocking law enforcement stuff. I mean, I'm counting 4 felonies that she's committed prior to driving towards the guy. And so I don't like what's happening over there. And then Trump, under the radar, cruises over to Fry and what's his nuts that ran Waltz, the governor, and says, all right, I'll throttle back. I'll pull back a ton. And I will pull back. All I want in return is all the rapists, murderers, the felons that you apprehend and have apprehended. It's all I want in return. And they made that agreement. Interesting, because I don't see what a sleight of hand. And I just wanted to get your take on that, because that was a brilliant political move on Trump's end, because what are they going to say? No.
So you and I have different intimacies of this, and I'll tell you.
I kind of figured. Let's go.
So, yeah, not broaching the subject of what my opinions on both of those events were, because I think there's some truth in both sides of all those arguments of the deaths and whatever else. What I would tell you is the ICE on the ground is behaving in a way that they've never behaved before.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, there's blame on all sides of that, but without broaching that subject, but just on the Minnesota situation. So that 287G contract in Minnesota was already in place. So while it's a brilliant political move, it's nothing.
I understand, but it's out there now.
It's out there. So he didn't really do anything other than. So the challenge that I have with the Trump administration is that they've changed they have a PR problem right now.
Right.
Major PR problem. And so they're now going back to these statistics of, hey, but look how many, rapists, murderers, and whatever else that we've gotten. That Minnesota had the same thing in place that we have here in Arizona, which is they don't have necessarily, so even in cities here in Arizona, there are contracts with actually, like, for example, Pinal County right now has an active cooperation, meaning it's almost a joint venture with the Sheriff's Department of Pinal County and ICE. And so Pinal County is not just looking for criminals, they're looking actively for immigrants. And so town council's already said no to that, and we'll see where that goes, because they didn't have authority to do that. That's actually a town council initiative. That contract had to be signed there, and so I think it's slowed down in Pinal County. But at one time, it was almost like you had two departments of ICE working together. So that's one type of a contract that can exist in that kind of municipality, and that can really ramp up immigration enforcement. But the contract that most cities have is that if you come into contact with the jail, which is the state of Arizona has the same thing, then there are immigration checks that are done in the jail. Unless Minnesota's lying, I've heard several reports saying that they had those contracts in place and that they've turned those people over. Their response to the Trump administration that says, well, we've had some people out, is that they actually turned those people over to ICE, and ICE let them out on bond, which happens on my end. And that's why they're in the communities again, because they were let out on bond. Mm-hmm. Now, there's rhetoric in everything, because the way that you present, which we've talked about, this is why the news sucks right now.
Yes, that's where I was going eventually.
Is that you got the Trump administration that says that we've arrested the guy committed, that's convicted of violent crimes. And what really ended up happening, if you go into the person that's out, is that the guy had a DV, domestic, like a disturbance of the peace or disorderly conduct, which I get out on bond all the time because it's not a felony and whatever else.
Right.
And the Trump administration is going to say it was a violent criminal. The immigration judge is going to say, I let him out because this is people we let out all the time. And so it's rhetoric between the two of them, whether you believe they should be let out. If they've done any type of crime, that's just not the way the system has worked. And so I don't know. I get what you're saying, that the PR now is spun of, well, great, now we're getting murderers and criminals off the street.
It's a spin.
I don't know that that from what I know, that was already in place. If it wasn't, then great.
It's a sanctuary city.
Really, that's why he's there.
Right.
I mean, whether they're ever
and so I'm trying to get to the point.
City.
It's a sanctuary city, and they need to go by. They create more harm than good. Now, everywhere else, now Pinal's going another level, or trying to. Maricopa County has tried to do that in the past as well. There's, here in Arizona, we're kind of used to this, back and forth immigration stuff. You're very used to this. Every 4 years, something changes. And it's changed dramatically. But to be fair, for the Trump administration, this is a tough situation that he inherited here. Sure. Because this has never been inherited before. Probably twice as many, or at least half as many of the illegal immigrants that we had in the country came over in 4 years period of time. I mean, that's a lot of people.
Yeah,
and they're not your usual suspects. Yeah. They're not your usual immigrant patterns.
I think Trump's biggest, and this is personal opinion, you can agree or disagree, I think the biggest PR mistake that Trump made on the immigration thing was he really did do a great job of locking down the border, which was a problem and needed to be done. And he did it, and he accomplished it quickly, efficiently. There's nobody crossing. Well, very few
Right.
people crossing. He had tackled the asylum situation, and you know, some people don't like that one. I'm okay with what he did there. But he got Stephen Miller hired, and Stephen Miller just wants zero immigration. That's really what his policy is, somehow to free. So let me tell you on the ground end what's happening. I haven't had a naturalization ceremony scheduled for 3 months. No announcement. They've just paused everything. So he's basically pausing anybody that wants to become a citizen of the United States. And this is not because of he's PR-wise, I'm sure they're blaming whatever happened in Somalia or whatever else because they naturalized some people that apparently committed fraud. Which was his administration that naturalized him, just by the way. So all of that, and they're going to blame it that vets, and I heard that they blame it on the vetting that was done before the administration. Whatever the situation is, they've paused those. I have 75 countries that have been paused on visas that have indefinitely been suspended on immigrating to the United States, including countries that you would never think of. Like, I get the Middle East and some of the African countries, but we have like Guatemala suspended right now. Colombia, some people that we bring people from all the time that are, I don't know why they're paused.
Yeah.
So in the background right now, immigration's being suspended all over the place. It's just not that we have an administration that is quietly, whether Trump's realizing it or not, Stephen Miller is quietly ending immigration altogether in certain respects. And so that's scary to me because I think that's something that is not, that people don't realize is happening. And so on the ground level, if his PR problem was, look, if you just touted what you've done on the border and what you've been able to do as far as even criminals, like the priority, nobody argues about even, you know, and Minnesota governor comes on, it's like, we're not arguing about the murders and rapists and whatever else, whether that's true or not, whether they're sanctioned, he may be blowing smoke or whatever else, but he's going to have a PR problem if he comes after and says, yeah, we're going to protect the murderers and rapists and whatever else. So if he touts that and those numbers, and which is what they're trying to do, they've made a little bit of an about turn in the last week of what their PR, you know, department's coming out and trying to really refocus on those numbers and whatever else. But the problem is the statistics are showing that 90% of the people detained don't have any criminal record. So that was the problem that they did, is they started pulling just people off the streets and starting to, like, they raided zips. My receptionist was there that day that they raided zips, and she was scared to death. She's a U.S. citizen, but they ID'd and asked for citizenship documents of everybody that was in the restaurant, which is scary because I don't bring my stuff with them. And obviously she's Latina, so she got targeted for that, which is scary for her. And so I get the other side too, that I've never thought we'd be in a show me your papers type of situation in this country, but we are right now, and it's kind of crazy.
I think we've knocked on the door of having to. Here's the problem that we have.
You think we have to show papers in the street?
I don't know about the street. That part, no. I don't think randomly or pretextually, which is a fancy word for saying you have a good tan, you're brown, show me your papers.
Which is what's happening.
So I don't believe that should be happening. That I don't like in the commission of, or wrong place, wrong time. I understand that part. But like, I don't understand why they were at the Zips place. You know what I mean? I don't know the probable cause there.
Yeah, and my problem is okay,
but if you're a random patron
for whatever the employees in the back, but they question people that were there in the restaurant,
right? So it's fast. Let's rewind a little bit. Obama deported far more people than we've seen so far. Okay, we're not catching up to Obama yet. Not even close.
Yeah, those statistics are funny, though. I know that everybody makes that argument. Those were border deportations.
I understand what you're saying.
So
I understand. It's just, where was the news then?
Because you're not. I'll tell you why. You're not ripping families apart when you're deporting them from the border. They haven't been here. They haven't established.
I don't know. The cages were then. The cages were then.
Yeah, I'm not. That's a totally issue. I'm not talking about how they detained him. Yeah, there's blame.
My
on
point
that.
is
I'm
you
just
said
the numbers. The numbers are. Everybody always has that argument. Oh, but where was all the hubbub when Obama was deporting people? It's because they were happening in the border.
I like
so
to.
They didn't ever get there.
I like to argue, and I want to, but I'm really interested in one thing that we totally agree on, and that is the media and its duty and what it's doing and how it's driving this a narrative, whichever way it wants to drive. Obviously, nobody likes Trump in the media as far as mainstream. Nobody. So now you
I'm
have
more comfortable with Trump right now than I am with some of his staff.
right. No, I'm very, I'm very comfortable with Trump. I do think that Miller is a useful tool for the
Miller will never get on camera.
is a useful tool for a minute, and that's my opinion. That's he is kind of the Elliot Ness of Chicago right now, but ultimately, what needs to happen is, and you and I have had high hopes of Congress, and they've pretty much dwindled.
They're starting to get
but they're starting to get there.
Energy.
And so that's what I think this whole push was to do, is to slap Congress around and say, freaking do something. So when Trump gives this olive branch, so it's the narrator, blah, 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 and says, look, let's bring this down over here. We don't want people getting hurt, and people are getting hurt, da, 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 da. So he ends up looking good. Walz is trying to pander to whatever he can because he may be the first sacrificial lamb, as far as somebody being arrested as a politician. It looks like he's up there in the lead. Him and Ilan and all that. The Somali fraud thing is probably going to bite and end up as an indictment and something to fight and so on and so forth. That will show well for Trump. It will show bad for the narrative will at some point. But what we have is we have Congress paying attention to something that we haven't had them pay attention to in a long period of time. But we still have Congress is looking at what CNN is saying. Congress is looking at what MSNBC is saying. Whoopi Goldberg has some sort of say in something, and I don't understand why. She has 3 brain cells, if that. I don't understand what those kids are reading, seeing, and understanding. I understand that where there's smoke, there's fire, and we're not a sanctuary city. This is a high school that's right up the street. That's very, very Latino friendly and has been since I went there.
So my kids have a walkout this week too. There's like 250 kids. They're not. So we got an email from Higley because they're organizing one that basically says, look, we're not condoning this, but if you're going to do it,
that's what Mesa did too.
Let your students know to do it, peacefully and whatever else. And we're not telling them to do it. We can't tell them to do it. They're going to get an unexcused absence. But I think they also know if you got that many kids, trying to police it and force them back into their classrooms.
Well, what I did like was Mesa Motor was sitting right there, not engaged, just
so
sitting
I would say
right
that
there.
Mesa would be where I would think Maryvale, Mesa, some of these places would be where that would start. But it's happening all over. I've got kids in 2 different schools, and both of them have walkouts. I don't know what my kids are doing one way or the other. They haven't asked my opinion, but I know what's happening.
Well, I mean, you got to think half the kids are just getting out of school.
Maybe. Yeah, but our kids, I'll be honest with you. Yes, I'm sure. But these kids, just like when we talked about Charlie Kirk, and those kids were sharing that story on their phones the day it happened. So they're way more in tune to things, whether they're little brains or small brains or big brains can compute, fully what's happening. They're way more informed than I ever was.
You and I know the full circle pretty well. You live it. A lot of this, I mean, this is really just dirt under the fingernails. And I get to see, quite a bit more than the average individual as well. And it's just kind of like, okay, we're here. How do we get here? And the only way we get here is Congress. And we've been saying that since 1952. So, I mean, it's been a skinny second.
Yeah. And Congress is, I appreciate that Congress is like you've seen more senators and House members on camera in the last week or so than you have. My challenge is, why does it take that for you guys to get your butt in gear? And most of it's just even Republicans right now are not at least not all of them are happy with.
Right. Their
'cause, you
messaging,
know,
they have a messaging problem right now.
Yeah,
And the
so
Miller and the Gnome and
Noam's
the,
probably going to be the sacrificial lamb on the Trump administration that goes
might
down.
be.
We'll see. I mean, he said no yesterday, but there's a lot of
It might be. But
groundswell for that.
if he's really olive branching, see, this is a checkmate to me. This is Minnesota needs to not be sanctuary. And how in the world can a state open rebellion? And that's really what it is these sanctuary cities, which I want to just leave it right there to the sanctuary cities because I have dual viewpoints on that. I hate that, but I do because of the broken immigration system. I don't like our law and order, our law there, and haven't. Neither one of us have for a long period of time. We understand some of it, and we understand the heartbreak that every person that crosses that border took a risk and knew it. Every one of them. The immigration program that we've talked about here would fix pretty much all of this overnight. And I don't see how the partisan divide would be that great with that particular program.
Sure. I mean, you would think, but
One would right, but there's still,
I mean, I don't know how you can get when people are starting to die, and obviously that's making news and that's making a lot of people angry, and there is there's a groundswell of a lot of things that people are happy. Trump's numbers are way down right now with moderates and independents and whatever else, and I think he sees that, and I don't think Trump's a dumb guy, and I honestly don't think that. I think there's people within his administration that, and the way they reacted to this kind of showed where their sympathy lies and whatever else, and there wasn't a lot of whoever their PR team was not great in this situation. On specifically, the Renee Good one, that's arguments, but this one was kind of bad the way they handled this one as far as just the PR and how they kind of attacked at the beginning. But Trump never did that necessarily. I mean, he did a little bit, kind of on the Twitter type of thing, but he's since come back from it. I think that, I don't know why it's taking this to get Congress to get going, and I don't know if they are or if they're just going to call for people's heads but not actually do anything.
Right, that's what I'm worried about.
Then doesn't do anything.
That's what I'm worried about. I'd like to see some.
Just goes to the next place.
I'd like to see some legislation that addresses 1952. I'd like to see the policy in and of itself be completely revamped. We have our own ideas on how to do it, and probably better than anybody sitting in Congress, period, end of story, could do it. That said, okay, they want to call us. They might be one of our 14 listeners right now. But my point to this whole thing is they're not solution-oriented in general. Congress hasn't congressed in decades. And so since Newt Gingrich has been gone, they haven't congressed.
And I hope
they just keep giving power to the president instead of doing anything.
I heard a town hall interview with a Republican Texas senator, which he was like, look, if anybody knows it, it's me on the border here living it in Texas. And we've talked about Texas before. But he was actually on there saying, look, I agree with this enforcement and whatever else, but we've got we need comprehensive immigration reform. Like this is not.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hello. Like, where have we been for the last 30 years?
I mean, this is affecting our already. I mean, Arizona is known for its great educational system. We want to. I know, that's why I said it. Read me the stats.
Okay, so when it comes to public schooling, the one right down the street, Mesa, has a 39% proficiency in mathematics and a 41% in literacy and reading, so below average. And it's ranked 237 out of like 350 in the state.
Yeah, and that's just amazing.
And they're on the corner, protesting because they can miss school.
In general, are
there's no question. It's
bad.
The
funniest part is that half of their signs were spelt incorrectly.
That's what Reed pointed out, and it was fun. Once he said that, I had to look at it again when I drove by it again. I'm like, oh, he's not right. I mean, they're misspelling everything. It's like, okay, look, these 10-cent heads, this guy that shows up to a dadgum protest with a firearm, dumb move. Okay, if I'm going to go and protest the ownership of the Arizona Cardinals because they've been the worst ownership in the history of all franchises, maybe not the worst, but amongst them, I think that they are. I'm probably not going to bring a firearm if I'm going to get fiery. It's not a good idea. it's a high likelihood that there was a discharge from that firearm. I don't know what you want police to do. You know what I mean? Like they're all.
I mean, I have a different view on that whole thing. I don't agree. I mean, a lot of what's going on is definitely agitating, and it's definitely heightening the circumstance, and there's chaos going on in Minnesota. And
I'm all
tragedy
about
happens.
Second Amendment.
This one was tough. I've watched the video a million times, and there's.
Once that
I think why the administration's backing off is there's not a lot. The only defense is what you're coming up with is don't come to the protest, but which is kind of a hypocritical thing to say from a Republican because you've got conservative heroes that have come to protests that have been lauded by the Republican Party as bringing a gun and brandishing it was a good thing, and they were heroes and whatever else. And now you have to take the different tune when it's not your party.
I'm sorry, 10 seconds ago, we just had a dude shot and killed on a college campus. We've had 2 assassination attempts on the dude in the Oval. We've had increasing, our cities are burning.
Yeah.
And they're all a similar city as Minnesota. We've got Chicago. We've got over there. And so, no, I don't have as much patience as you do. If I were to represent that guy that had the gun, that didn't, let's say that the outcome wasn't him dying, he's screwed. He's literally screwed. I'm going to be doing a prison plea for him 10 out of 10 times.
Because why?
Because he's brandishing.
But he didn't brandish.
But he did. It discharged.
But it discharged from the ICE officer's hand.
But it discharged. So it's on his body.
But it didn't discharge on him.
But I can't get around the fact that he's at a protest with a gun.
Yeah, but why? That Minnesota law doesn't prohibit that.
No, there's protection to protests, so where
Absolutely
you can't.
Not. The Minnesota's law, I already looked it up. Minnesota's law, he has a concealed permit.
What about the federal law?
There's no federal law in Minnesota.
as far as protesting goes, like for example, Don Lemon in that church. I mean, that seemed all sorts of not in poor taste, but it's not only.
You don't have federal protest laws unless you're in Washington D.C.
I thought you did, but I could be
wrong.
wrong.
You don't have federal gun carrying laws. That's the whole
that's
Republican
true.
point. If they,
that's true. That's
right there,
that's Minnesota.
So
that would be Minnesota. So I don't practice law there, but
here. But if it did, it was taken off him by the ICE officer. That video I've seen clearly.
The video I saw, but maybe I'm getting it wrong. But the video I saw was discharges when the whole thing went.
That's what they're assuming.
Went real south
because somebody yelled "gun" supposedly, but the discharge so there was no way it discharged from him. What happened was he got it. He was disarmed. The ICE officer took the gun off of him, and as he was walking away, the supposition is that it discharged when the ICE officer had it in his hand into the ground. And once that gunshot went off, the ICE officers.
This is a really poor chain of events. I will say that my approach would be, and I always kind of go here. My approach would be it's a P38 SIG, and this particular it's a 9mm Sig Sauer. And this particular gun, if stage 1 is prone to discharge without trigger pull, is prone. And so I would use that defense 10 out of 10 times. It might work because you got to have intent. And that might work, but I would have a heck of a fight on my hands because you're going to a known skirmish with a firearm. And so you're already looked at as far as seeking violence or going after, being violent.
So why? So let's get in the legal part of this since we're lawyers. Why is this a known skirmish?
Well, I mean, you've got the protests going on and they've been getting hot. I mean, projectiles are being thrown.
So the administration's already come out and said, because that was an argument, but the administration already came out and said that there had been pretty chaotic moments of different protests in different days, but this particular one hadn't gotten to that point.
Right. And so at the end of I understand, but the history of the very current history.
Yeah, but you know that as a lawyer, you can't use 3 days ago as what's going to happen at that day and try to prosecute.
But I can use that as mens rea.
For the ICE officer?
Both. It would go both ways.
So I'm not saying this is a murder like people are saying,
right.
But I think there's major negligence on this one.
There might be, and after they investigate it, I'd like to see it. You know what I mean? I think it should be properly investigated by the FBI. Period. End of story.
This individual is a repeat offender. This is like the second or third time that he's been to one of these rallies, and this isn't the first time he's been apprehended by ICE before.
So he had so there is a narrative right now that he had tried to spit at an officer or something.
He's also kicked out a rear brake light of a car, of an ICE vehicle, and he's literally wearing the exact same clothes and holding the exact same gun, like from the.
So that's all fine, Reed. But here's my argument back on that. So if your child who throws tantrums on Tuesday because they don't want to do homework, and you walk in the door on Thursday and see him, are you automatically going to ground him for doing his homework on Thursday that he hasn't even attempted to do at that point? So I get what you're saying, but you can't kill somebody because Tuesday they showed up and agitated you. Because number one, I don't know if it was the same ICE officers,
most likely wasn't.
Probably wasn't. And so I'm not painting this guy as any kind of angel, but in this circumstance, I don't know that you can say, hey, he's a known repeat chaos influencer or whatever. He might be, and that doesn't make him a great guy or a good guy and what they're painting him. I'm just talking about the legal circumstances of this particular event. I don't know how much defense there is for these ICE
What would challenge?
They're on a heightened alert and alarm and whatever else. The video shows him. I mean, and I've seen the video a million times. And luckily for him, or whatever it's maybe unluckily for the administration, is there was lots of vantage points and lots of video for this one. And so basically, a lady gets pushed down. He goes to try to help him up. He has a phone in his hands. He gets pepper sprayed. He gets wrestled to the ground. His hands are out in front of him the whole time. And then they find out he has a gun once they're on the ground because it was concealed, and then shots are fired. Whether it was discharged in his holster or whether they discharged.
It's what it seemed. There was a discharge prior to the firing. So I understand. There's some. So what would be challenging for me if I had a live person to defend? Okay, but I don't because of what transpired. But if I did, the pattern would be probably enough for most prosecutors to make me really have to advise my client there's a risk and a half here. Okay, the pattern of violence prior to. Okay, so we always look at historicals, and those sink us pretty good. They do it to a degree in your world as well. I mean, if they've been deported once before, it's much harder for them to gain legal status.
But you would, if you were on the defense attorney, you would claim, what relevance does that have to this event, right?
I would, but the problem is it doesn't matter what I say and what I argue or what even a judge says.
If this was a character assassination, like, hey, we particularly targeted this person because he has a history of this and we were on heightened alert because of what he's done, I don't think that they can make that argument. I don't think the way that happened so quickly and whatever else, I don't think it was like they were targeting this guy and they knew that they needed to be on heightened alert because he had a gun or he had a history of kicking out their lights or whatever else. This happened really quickly.
I understand.
I really just think it was 5 agents.
I understand
that were on.
I understand. Here's where I'm in the business of evaluating risk, and I have 12 people on a jury on this one. All right. And that's the difference between what you do day in, day out and what I do.
Sure.
And so we got 12 folks sitting there, and these are Maricopa County folks. And the ones that are sitting there usually have jobs, are pissed about being there, and are showing up to do their civic duty and typically look at the world a lot more like Stephen Miller than you do. Mm-hmm. Okay? Typically. That has softened in the last year or two, but not significantly, but a little. The fact that I have a pattern that's getting thrown out there anyway.
Yeah,
okay.
I don't know.
It's going to be thrown out there by a prosecutor. The prosecutor's a true believer. They're going to throw it out there. And the fact that I have a skirmish going on, I have a protest going on, and I have a firearm. Everything goes on fire right then and there. So, for example, I have a case right now currently that we're handling.
So, but go back to that firearm issue with me,
yeah,
and why that's your crux of your.
Okay,
Like
so
the history, you can character assassinate him. What he's being accused of is basically public disturbance, damage of property. I don't think I haven't seen any accusations of actual physical, like he punched an officer or something like that. So
no, spit, that's an assault.
Okay, that's fine. If that happened, that's character assassination. But tell me where the gun. So that's
I'll answer it with I'll answer it anecdotally
for me because,
okay, I understand. I'll answer it anecdotally. Law enforcement pulls over a client that I have, and it was for a traffic violation. Found out that there's an odor of alcohol coming from the vehicle. From what the body cam suggests, my dude does everything right. He's very respectful. He's like, hey, I have a firearm in the car. And then when he reached to go get his license and registration, which the officer clearly instructed him not to, but he was panicky. He was a little scared. He was in trouble, but not big trouble. He reached to get into his middle console. All hell broke loose right then there. Boom. He's yanked out. I mean, I got 3 officers coming in there and yanking him out. Why?
Yeah, the officer's life.
Same thing going on here. Same exact thing going on here.
So,
dude,
where did that reach come? That's where I'm wondering.
The body cam makes it very clear that our guy's not lunging for it. Our guy's not like shooting for it at all. He's very cooperative. His demeanor was great. He did everything great. Really wants to sue the crap out of him getting yanked out, and got some bumps and bruises on the way out. And that's not gonna. It's not a winner case.
Yeah.
Is he going to just end up with a DUI at the end of the day? Yes, that's good. Okay, that's not good, but I mean, that's justice. But here we had an event that could have spiraled out of control pretty quickly because these guys don't know what intent this person has. Okay, so once there is a firearm, and he told them there's a firearm, it's not like they're looking at it or finding it. He told them, and then he went to obviously get his license and registration. But the law enforcement was very clear. He was nervous. So all of these things, I'm sympathetic to the person that's being charged with this. Mm-hmm. But I'm also sympathetic to law enforcement that don't have the crystal ball. And there's a lot of heavy going on in Minnesota specifically, and a lot of pushback. And we're starting to see it kind of become a thing to do. Like back when we wore no fear sweatshirts or something, it's like the thing to do. And trying to bring down that temperature, I think the temperature was always heading to not good. Given the amount of problem or the significance of the problem we currently have. It's like we have stage 4 cancer immigration wise. What are we going to do? We have to kind of get aggressive with it. In the meantime, though, you and I both know the way I lean is this IIE program. Is let's really narrow the scope and really make it American, the way we roll. Really make it that way. But that would require at first probably an executive, and no one would go with Trump on that. Yeah. But it would be great if Congress would jump all over this thing for the first time ever. But all I'm saying is those guys that get spit at, those guys that they don't want to shoot anybody.
I believe that.
They just don't want to. I mean, it is very traumatic. Very traumatic for anyone to shoot.
I'm not even arguing that they may not have not had an imminent fear in their life.
I am of the opinion on that one, regardless of all the reels and the footage and all that. I want a true good investigation from the FBI, not Homeland investigating Homeland. I don't want that crap. I want straight up, maybe even a specific task force dedicated to look into that, because I think it's that important. But I also believe that some good can come from this tragedy. And that is Congress is talking about it now. And it's about damn time. You've got somebody from Texas that we've complained about, Texas specifically, forever. And now they're starting to kind of look at this thing a little bit different. At least one politician from Texas, which is unique to have a politician from Texas, go down that rabbit hole. I don't like to see our young on a street corner with that language.
Yeah.
I don't like to see them with that kind of that directional push, because language leads to action, in my opinion. It means, where is their parents? Where is the authority figures in their life? They probably don't have any. Youth have long since been a little bit rudderless, as far as you being a basketball coach, to get them disciplined and get them, that rudder, to where they can have success is the number one thing that you're working on. And when they get that, and when they catch fire and they start to build the rudder with you, you're onto something special. You're onto a team that's going to win.
That's the struggle that I have is that this is maybe just a cultural problem that I have with in general is that I think you can be a conservative and look at this situation and go, there's something wrong with this situation.
I agree.
I think you can be a liberal and you can look at this situation and say, there's a reason why these ICE officers were on a heightened, concern. I feel like there's not a lot of people that do that. I feel like they're influenced by their parents or what they already believe that they're
or
gonna
TikTok
look,
or whatever else.
whatever algorithms out there, and they're going to look at, like, Reed's already getting his. Obviously, I know where his point of view is because his algorithms are showing all of a sudden the new negative stuff that's victim blaming on this side, and so I don't love when a Secretary of Homeland Security comes out and makes blanket statements already about domestic terrorism and whatever else without an investigation, without a pause. I mean, there's some things. It's because you're so influenced by what your rhetoric is and what your stance is.
She's already on
just don't pause. Like, nobody's pausing and going, let's analyze.
She's already on the defense. She should have said, I'm going to have to take a look at this.
Done. It would have been easy.
Done.
All of them.
And you guarantee your money back. When Trump met with her that
Bovino,
day,
all of those
Patel
guys.
needs to do a dadgum press conference right away.
And so now Kristi Noem, I'm hearing is that was directed from Stephen Miller, and she didn't even agree with it, but Stephen Miller told her to say it, and that I wouldn't put that past.
I wouldn't
Monday,
actually
but
put
she's
it
gonna
past
take
that.
the fall for it. I just, again, take a pause, people.
Yeah.
You can have an ideology and still look at a situation with open eyes and go, okay, let's and I think, to his credit, right now Trump's maybe doing that.
Yeah.
And going, okay, let's sit down, Governor.
But do you think?
Walz,
And I have one
let's
more
talk about
question.
this.
But
Instead of
I got one more question. But Reed's going to sit right here for a minute.
Howdy.
Reed? I don't know what question you got for me, but fire away.
I didn't have a question. He just really needed to use a bathroom.
Yeah, so I'll continue the conversation. So Reed, as you somewhat recent graduate from high school, was this something when you were in high school? Was there ever a walkout? Was there ever political stuff? Was it talked about a lot when you were there?
So
I mean, it's been 3 or 4
when I
years,
was in
probably.
elementary school, like the cafeteria would talk about like Obama, and that was about it.
But
Like
it was
we
a
knew
lot- was
we
it
knew
like
nothing
jokes?
else. It was just Obama.
Like, you
It was
used to
just
do the
jokes about
"Thanks,
Obama.
That
It was it was just jokes about Obama and Obamacare.
yeah,
And
which nobody understood. I
no
remember that
no
too.
one understood anything about politics. Then I got into high school, and Donald Trump became the new funny guy to talk about.
People dressing up with him or as him at Halloween or whatever.
But like hardly anybody actually knew what was like going on with politics. Like we knew that he beat Hillary Clinton. That's
Yeah.
about it.
So do you think is it the social media now access that everybody's got a news story and everybody's got an opinion that now keeps kids a little bit more informed?
Yeah, I think a lot more people are informed about what's going on with politics, and it's probably started with the campaign of Donald Trump versus, oh my goodness, it was the new lady that nobody liked.
Yeah, Clinton, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't Hillary. I'm Kamala.
This next-
Kamala.
this last
Yeah, the new
Okay.
one.
Yeah.
And with that one, like he was like with the whole thing with like Charlie Kirk and the Turning Point USA with people like with college students getting more into politics, and that bled down to high school level where people are seeing reels of liberals getting totally owned by Charlie Kirk, or then
Or
there's
Ben Shapiro or whatever.
and
it
then
is. Yeah.
people watching politics no longer for the betterment of society, but for entertainment purposes, because it is kind of funny.
No, and it's cool. I really think that it's admirable that you guys are, because we went so apathetic in our political kind of, like for years, it was like, why do we vote? Like it's going to be the same
Right.
thing. And we got really apathetic in what was going on. And it's cool to see you guys like active in it. It scares me at the same time because, again, I think we're so influenced by the algorithms that we either see or our parents give us or whatever else that then, again, you're only seeing content for one side of things,
Right.
which we've talked about. And that's the scary part is that hopefully, the students and are free thinking as well, that they're getting both sides of it or asking the questions. I'm afraid they're not, but it is interesting that hopefully, again, that pushes Congress to do something. If you've got a base, a new voting base right now that's going to care about these things.
All right, I'm going to change it now.
So, well, I just asked him kind of what his experience in high school was. If a walkout would have ever been staged in his high school. I said no, probably
Yeah,
not.
it
But it was
probably
getting
wouldn't.
that
No.
point.
Right.
It would definitely not.
It was
have
getting
gotten a
there.
walkout.
So your algorithm assessment is dead nuts on. I mean, straight up. So
Because you and I had both totally different versions of the same event, and not because my algorithm's on the liberal side, but I do sometimes I'll dabble in both points of view. It's just my personality. I
Yeah.
want to see it, and so
yeah, what I want to do is I want to see it, but then I also know that there's there's a cat,
I know.
a recoiled
Everybody
cat
gets-
with the hair on the back of their.
and I get it. Whether it be
And
my
it could be
religious
on-
side of things, you get and then you want to turn it off. I'm
Right.
a little bit more.
I'm actually
I'm
not
a
that
little bit more
way.
tolerant
I'm just
'cause-
saying ICE agents
no.
are that way.
No, on everything.
On super red alert. And then to bring a gun to that situation is not wise.
Sure.
Okay, whether legal or not, it's not smart. Okay, so there's that. And then I'm also looking at it like, how would I defend
I think you got a great defense, brother.
ICE, and how would I defend the other person, one way or the other? It's kind of the way I go. It's the way I'm wired. Here, I kind of figured, well, I could defend either one, and I just want a good investigation, like a fair investigation. That's what I want.
And I'm not, yeah. And in no way am I saying that, you have to, like, this is where the rhetoric goes, like, it's murder. Well, no, I mean, ICE officers were trying to do their job. I'm not saying anybody was out there trying to shoot somebody. There's no premeditation. It's not even murder. It's not even manslaughter. I think
Right.
it's maybe some negligence and whatever else, depending
Right.
on what the investigation shows. My biggest challenge that I had was not necessarily the background or history of the victim, not necessarily the background history of the officers and if they've got any disciplinary action. I'm not really even caring about that. It's an event that happened in real time and it was really fast, and I understand both sides of it. My biggest concern was I thought it was a PR disaster the way the administration handled it.
I will say that I agree with that 100%.
Which it loses
But I will
trust in the
but
public.
I will
think,
say I
when
agree
you
with
do
that 100%. To put some color on this, though, my job is in very literal sense. What our firm does is we unroll the whole thing. So, is the officer on the Brady list? Is the officer? I mean, I want to know everything about that officer, that jacket, I'm pulling it all.
Which is
So that's
which is
on one
why you
end.
say, let's let the investigation
Right.
unfold, because you know better than that. You would never, as an attorney, I mean, I guess if you were defending and
Either
maybe that's
either
what they
side.
feel like they're doing is they're defending the administration automatically. But the problem was you can defend and say, hey, these ICE officers do their job and they're great people and whatever else. That's the way I would have approached it. And we'll see how this investigation, but we support our officers. We support our law enforcement.
Yeah.
We think this is chaotic, whatever.
We're going to take a good look at
They went
this.
a couple extra steps.
We're going to
unfortunately.
take a good look at this, and there's going to be a fair, impartial investigation going on here, and it has to be done by the FBI. Here's Kash Patel doing a press conference on it. I'm assigning this, and this because it's a big deal. I'm assigning this,
I
and
don't-
this.
And Cash has already come out, so he'd be a struggle to lead that investigation.
No, I'm not saying I'm going to
No, but
lead it.
it's-
I'm going to assign
Somebody
a
else.
yes. That's what I would do if I were them. Like yesterday, it needed to have happened already.
It should have been. That
And
should have
so
been the
that's
first thing
my
hey,
issue
somebody
with
died
it.
Here.
Yeah.
We need to investigate this. We'll figure it out.
That's my issue with this on both sides, whether I represent this side. Because I would go either way with the representation, whomever came in first. And then I'm looking at the same exact facts What's this person's history? What's this person's here? What are they doing here? Da, 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 da. I want to know everything about them. What color underwear do they have on? I don't know about that part, but and then ICE. What kind of jacket do I have? What kind of history do I have here?
And why I say it's a PR disaster is because I'm just tired of both sides taking zero accountability for anything. Like, I'm just tired of that. I'm tired of that rhetoric of we do nothing wrong, and then the other side saying we didn't do anything wrong and nothing is to blame for us. It's always the other side. There is zero accountability, and that is a personal integrity issue for me that I've had, whether we're talking about politics, whether we're talking about my basketball team. If you come out of the game and when I'm yelling at you and I say, hey, you turn the ball over and you tell me, well, it's because my shoe was untied or it was because this guy fouled me, I don't want to hear it. Go sit on the bench. Like, just say, yes, sir, I got you next time. And I'm good to go.
Yeah, we're
and
moving on.
It's a 2-second conversation. I tell my kids the same. We've had this conversation a million times. You come to me and say, Dad, I screwed up. I'm sorry I back-talked you during the game. Cool, we're done. Go back in the game. But if you sit and tell me this and this and this and this and this, I start to lose trust in you. I start to have a problem. And so I have a problem with the administration. As much as I voted for whoever I voted for, I have a problem when you go up and say blanket statements without any type of accountability, responsibility, and that goes for both sides. You know, Tim Walz and not taking any accountability for the ruckus situation that he created.
Yeah. Do you realize who
Which
would
is
be
why
our?
we get nothing done.
Do you
because
realize
nobody
who?
can see?
You realize who would be our next president if they took an ounce of responsibility for screw up? Newsom.
Yeah,
One ounce of responsibility.
Again, that's the liberal. That's
1
the
ounce.
Trump's. I mean, that's just the
Yep.
opposing the Trump. You got
Yep.
Trump and Newsom on here.
So
they're dichotomy of the same thing.
You're wearing a Boston Red Sox hat, and I'm wearing a Yankees hat. Let's just go down this game. And there's no getting you off hating me, and there's no getting me off hating you. There's no getting us off that plane.
But I can tell you
we're
that you
there.
have a good team.
I could tell you, dadgum, your pitcher's great. Your rotation's amazing. You got a great
They can't.
defense. Blah, blah, blah. They cannot say it. They can't. And so that's the situation that we're in politically.
Yeah.
We're polarized. So here's what I wanted to kind of end on. So now we've got Trump that's kind of pulled that heat back a little bit. I think he's being the best politician amongst this crappy situation, which, okay, he's
smart.
which
He's
is
the only
frankly
smart- I mean,
very
that's-
rare for it's
Trump-
rare
Trump's
for
an
him. But
intelligent
Trump's
guy. He saw that
Yeah.
there was some, just what I'm saying, the PR disaster was not great. And so he's distancing himself a little bit from it. But
yeah. So he's coming in here and he's coming in with some solutions and some things that have already existed, as we know, and things that already should have been in place, and whether they've been working through, practically speaking or not, I don't know.
Yeah.
So on and so forth. But that said, Congress is talking about this both sides of the aisle. In a little bit more of a solution-oriented tone. I wouldn't say solution-oriented, but I'd say tone right now. It seems to have a tone of solution.
I wish it wasn't just negative, though, instead of positive. So what I'm hearing, but I get it. At least they're talking. What I'm hearing is, we're going to impeach Secretary Noem. Okay, that's a negative type of thing. It's not a positive. It's just a move, right? It's
Right.
not. It doesn't really solve anything. All it is just a PR move. And then you've got, we won't fund a bill. Like, all of these things are just, they're like, just put a log on the same fire.
Just kicking the
going
same
on,
can
and it's
down
kicking
the
the same
road,
can down
man.
the road. So I hope I love that the discussion's happening. I hope it's like actual solutions, not just the solution is
I have found
you take somebody away from the same. That doesn't change anything on the system. It just
Yeah.
takes the head of whoever's representing that system away.
that our system is not solution-oriented. I have found that many coaches,
reaction-oriented.
you're going to like this. I have found that many coaches coach to the clock and not the scoreboard.
Yeah.
I have found that has bit more coaches than it has helped. I think that you could kind of get on board with that.
Yeah.
And our Congress, our House, is not solution-oriented. These people do not have many good brain cells left or at all. They're not that bright. But what I'm scared of, okay, I don't know about scared, weird word, but it just flew out. Trump seems to be the reasonable right now, like kind of really rebranded the direction.
Trying to actually be a negotiator,
yes,
a middleman.
Yeah. And I'm worried that that turns too many politicians off because it's Trump. And
Maybe the Democrats won't realize that
Right.
he actually came to the table.
Right. And so that's what I'm a little bit concerned here. It's like, dang, I almost need the Democrats come to the table almost more so when Trump's like saying, no, there's no table. Oh, now they're at a table. And so I don't know how in our political divide that we're in, I like the way you look at it. I like that you might vote for this, this, and that, but it doesn't make it perfect. Okay. I might be a Boston Red Sox fan, but it doesn't mean we're not that good this year. We might just not be very good this year. And the Yankees just so happen to be kicking butt, and I might not be ecstatic about it. But yeah, I got two eyes.
And I sure wish there was a voice for that type of person. I mean, there is, and the polls are starting to show that. And I think that's, part of Trump's motivation is that he has to win some independent and moderate votes.
Yeah.
And those were struggling a little bit lately. And so I think he's doing the smart thing. I wish that there was, and we've talked about this a million times, I wish there was a strong, but it's hard because when you're a moderate in general, you don't have a strong voice because you're trying to analyze things
Right.
on both sides. And so only
Right.
strong voices survive right now, which
Right.
sucks.
The loud
The
voices. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that was maybe in strong's not necessarily.
Strong's not
We
the
can
right
have a
word.
strong opinion
Loud,
that's
sure.
moderate, but loud, yeah. Loud voices, because moderates don't tend to be loud. That's not, they're trying to be
Right.
peacemakers.
Right. They're trying to put everything in front of them and
Compromisers.
go,
That's not usually a loud position. And
here's
so
a solution. Right. This might work right here.
we just don't have that. Every time we've had some type of a moderate leaning presidential candidate, they've lost. Mitt Romney probably being the last one.
You're right. You're right.
Reagan.
No, I don't know. Who ran before Mitt or after Mitt was John McCain.
Oh, McCain. It was McCain after.
McCain was fairly
McCain was
moderate
for
as
sure
well.
Moderate. Yeah, and he lost too.
And he lost as well. So
It just doesn't speak to the extreme bases, which is what we've got.
no, you've got people don't care if you make sense. They care how you make them feel. Today,
The problem is it's not positivity.
Right.
It's positivity.
right.
It's everything's fueled by hate and negativity,
Right.
and that's the tough part. It's,
Well, look at what
that's the thing.
Trump says something, and you got, we're going to, these people are here illegally, and they need to come through the door the proper way. And we're going to, deport those who are here illegal. Is what we're going to do. We're America first. Beautiful. This sounds so good.
Politician
Trump.
like, right?
Right, Trump. We're going to deport the dogs and the people that are eating them and the rapists and the murderers that have been drained from insane asylums across the
And
world.
most of them are Democrats.
And they're, yeah,
that's where you. It's
And they're
always-
all
and that comes
liberal.
from the other side too. is-
liberal side loving sons of people.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't
You lose
like,
the message.
yes,
Well,
there was no
to some of us,
message.
you lose
There
the
was no message with Obama. He would just circle. That Iran deal drove me nuts. We're still struggling. And so was Iran. But from that whole, anyway, let's carry on. That said, politics needs to lose. Those folks on the corner, we know what their algorithm is.
Mhm.
And they're kids. And I just want to go,
And we have zero control over that.
None.
I mean, unless we're going to take away all that social media and take away their phones from them, they're going to get there.
Well, maybe we should make them illegal. You got to keep them separated.
I don't. There's policies that I don't mind taking
I wouldn't
let them
either.
have phones in the school, but they'll still.
I like that part of things, but I mean,
the thing that like I'm in the same boat as you. Like I'm kind of proud of the generation that wants to get involved and that cares. Like I think, like I said, there was a problem with our country, and the reason that we're at the point right now that we are is because we were so apathetic. As for like a 20-year period, we really were apathetic politically, and I kind of think myself included.
myself too.
I don't know if it mattered or if there wasn't loud enough voices, and that part of caused the problem that we're in now. But it's, I'll use the word scary, but it's scary at the same time because I don't think these students are fueled by again positivity or it's all hate. It's just
Yeah.
the F ICE is not the message that I want either. we need reform or something like that, I'm on board with, or we care about families or whatever. It's some kind of positive message.
But the people we represent aren't standing on that corner.
Yeah,
and they don't like the
I
ICE
don't know
thing
if their
going
kids
either.
are or not. I don't know.
They don't
Probably
like the
not.
ICE thing either. I mean, they're scared to death.
Yeah.
It's just really, I
and
almost
that's
feel
the
like
thing
that these particular immigrants that we've been discussing all these many years, both together and holding hands, singing Kumbaya in practice, trying to work something through on a broken system. These people have less of a Yankee Boston scenario than we do.
And the protests, to your point, to boost to your point, the protests like right now they're hate filled, and it's triggering. I think there's again accountability on both sides. That I think sometimes it's triggered by whatever's happening, but it's not what I would want as a protest. Like you have a right to protest, but the hate that's filled in it is where I have a struggle with. Is that's not going to solve anything. It's going to put everybody agitated on both sides, and so stand up for what you believe in. I'm fully supportive of that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I wish that our culture was not like we are. We are not a united states of America right now, and it is very, very disappointing to see.
So, what's a unifier look like?
I mean, I haven't seen it since 9/11, honestly, and we had a tragedy that attacked our country, not elements like right now. Liberals think they're being attacked in the streets on protests.
We've got divisions that are all being divided. We have our divisions that are all being attacked.
So and I hate to say that. I mean, sometimes politicians do this on purpose. They start a war to unite a country. I don't know if Trump's Venezuela thing that didn't quite maybe get the effect that he wanted, because it really wasn't prolonged.
Right.
It was like 2 days and it was done.
Right.
It's over the news.
It was like 5 minutes.
I don't know what and you don't. I don't ever want to suggest that that's what we need to do is start a war so that we become united. But yeah, I mean, really, probably it's like you said, it's Congress. They're the only ones that can actually pass legislation. Once legislation's passed, do you really have it's done? Like at that point, it's done. Even if you don't like it, you just live with it. Right. And
so at the end of the day, you've got Holman that's going to do whatever they pass.
Yeah. So he's going to enforce, and he has the right to say, hey, I didn't love this policy, but it was passed, or opposite.
Yeah, he doesn't like the one that's in place now.
Yeah, so
he's made that clear.
Yeah,
he's like pass something different then.
Yeah,
I actually like him, but he's definitely not a fire starter, but he's a fire finisher. He's interesting to me, that character.
I'm not sure why he wasn't on the front lines for a lot
I don't
of this
know
stuff.
either.
He is now, but
right. I don't know why either, because he does know when to hold them and when to fold them.
And because he was an Obama, appointee,
right?
So I think he's been through a few politicians.
He's very straightforward and just sticks to the law. And you know what? There's safety in that.
That's his argument always: is this is the law and this is what I'm going to enforce, and that's what I have to do.
There's safety in that, yeah.
And I think that's maybe what ends up happening if we're going to come together as a country. And again, whether Congress is going to have the cojones to stand up to their loud constituents and say, sorry, I've got to compromise. Sorry, we got to come up with something.
Well, neither one of us want to run for office, but we'd be willing to go to D.C. and fix your dadgum immigration problem.
Somebody.
We'd be willing to go fix it for you.
It's a crazy time.
Because we can do it. It wouldn't take us long. I wonder how many people we would think are stupid out of all the House and Senate. We could have an over and under before we go thing.
We both watch the news and talk on both sides. I go,
that's not
no
true.
Question. That's not true.
Nope.
Those are that's not a fact.
Nope. Right. And it doesn't matter which side it's coming on. And it's one is more ridiculous than the other, but they're both ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't even know if one is more ridiculous than the other, to be honest with you.
That's kind of where I'm at right
the
now.
algorithm that you discuss is too...
And that goes for news reporters on too.
Myopic. We have a very myopic class, a very myopic country.
So knowledge is power, but when knowledge is skewed, it's
right.
Makes it tough.
Then you can just lead them around like sheep.
Smart enough to realize that it's being skewed.
Yeah, that's where I kind of lie with the younger generation.
If the younger generation is aware of the fact that a lot of information, being the majority, is mostly biased one way or the other politically, then there's a way to avoid becoming just a part of that bias.
No, but it as a teenager, you got to realize that, and that's tough. And I don't blame the teenagers. I mean, that's the same thing. I mean, it's just a different bias. Like, you're raised by your parents and what their beliefs are most of the time. And
I'm blaming them. Show me their grades. I want to see their
What was
grades.
that? What was
I
that?
want to see how many books
You know
they've read.
Animal
I want to
Farm?
see who their
Yeah.
hero
Yeah.
is.
There's a lot of sheep in America.
Yeah, no, it's true.
That's what I want to see. I don't like seeing them on a corner. Look, I like the fact that they might be interested in something, but this it feels more like I want attention and, some sort of fake sense of belonging. And that never works out. People burn out in college a lot, and mainly from that scenario. And so you have this $1 zillion education, and you get a nose ring and pour coffee for a living.
And I mean, you talk about the high school students, and we'll end on this, I guess. But I think that goes to even our generation, because I love watching videos, and it's both sides, right? Where a reporter goes, or like a kind of a comedy, or what do they call it, a parody type of a situation where they go to a Trump rally, and they're even asking 65-year-olds, and they ask them a question about their politics, and then they completely just blow up the argument and most of the time the person doesn't know any of the statistics, any of the facts, and that goes for both sides. Or they go to a liberal rally, and they're asking them about the actual issues, and nobody really knows. So you're going and protesting something you really have no history or background with. And I think that's unfortunately 70% of, whether it's the students, whether it's the people at these things, that they get fired up about an issue, but they don't really look into it. They don't really read anything about it. They don't really. And to their credit or to their defense, like Rita's talked about, where do you go? Where do you go for it to get the actual information? Paige has made that comment
Stars.
as well. So I'm not. It's not that I don't have grace for it, but it's kind of interesting. And I love. There's a new guy, and this is I watched this video on theology. This guy that goes to ASU campus and talks to kids about theology on religion, and it's kind of a Charlie Kirk situation where he'll hold up a big kind of controversial sign. His was like Trinity is evil, and so then people come down and talk to him. But I like watching the videos because there actually is a pretty cool conversation, somewhat like Charlie Kirk, a little bit less combative, but they talk about actual facts and, hey, did you know this? Oh no, but what about this? And it's kind of a cool conversation to see college kids actually sit down, have to think, have to answer questions, get a little background on the thing that they have been raised with, or whatever. This one has to be religion, but it can be done on politics too. And I know Charlie Kirk was trying to do that. Obviously there's always going to be a bias one way or the other, but to actually have that dialogue is healthy. It's cool. I like seeing that. I don't know.
I think we name this "Don't Be Algoed." Algorithmed. He followed. All right. Okay. Name it something, algorithm poison or something like that, with a guy taking a death poison or something. I don't know what. Algorithm. Let's just, you're exposed to one side, and just, I think that keeping things, it's brainwashing. It's keeping people that are truly seeking.
Yeah. And I'll be honest with you. I went on Sunday. Saturday, I went down like a major rabbit hole of all these different things, specifically on the Minnesota shooting, which is why I was talking a lot about it and watched lots of videos and watching everybody comment on everything. And it was starting to make me angry a little bit. On both sides, it was starting to make me agitated because I didn't feel like anybody was actually speaking with any type of
there was no
actual
right
facts or authority or anything like that. And I just hated, kind of as an attorney, as a person that really hyper analyzes things and is really careful to spew an opinion myself personally until I know the facts. Like, that's why I'm hard to argue with, is because I'm going to gather for 3 days before I have my argument with you. And I'm not even going to attempt to do it. Like, one time you brought up global warming in a podcast, and I was like, sorry, bro, I'm not talking about that.
I'm
I haven't studied that. So not my cup of tea, so I don't have an opinion on that. And I'm very careful with that. So I was really angry about it. And on Sunday, I turned to my wife, and we were in church, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to go to my next meeting. Let's go to the river and tell our kids to put our phones like
in the river.
Rooms. Yeah, in the river, I wish. And we just unplugged for all Sunday because I was agitated. And I was like, I don't like myself that way. And I'm not usually, I unfortunately do it too much. I read lots of news stories trying to get an unbiased opinion, but I was angry at it, and because I felt like nothing was.
I could see why
reporting just
this one.
facts. Everything was.
I could
reporting
see why this
conjecture.
particular story would get you that way.
Yeah, just because I'm on the ground level on both sides of things, and I know intimacies that other people don't, and then when I see things that I'm like, that's just freaking not true, and then it just makes me mad when people say things that aren't true on both sides, and I'm like, I gotta be done. I gotta disconnect. So I did.
That's something funny because apparently everybody has an opinion on everything these days. Everybody has to have some kind of opinion. Like just the other day, I was scrolling through Facebook, unfortunately, and this group of paleontologists were saying, we don't condone ice. We don't like what they're doing. Like, why are the dinosaur people talking about ice? That has nothing to do with their expertise. Why are they talking about this? Why does everybody have an opinion on everything and need to make it
several
public?
businesses that have made public statements saying, hey, this is our political opinion. I
Right.
don't know if that's a PR move or what, but you're right. I do not like social media and opinions. Like I told Chris the other day, like I can't imagine what I would be like if I actually responded to half the things that I see that are crap online and from my own friends, family, whatever it is, and I want to respond so bad because I know I can have a really interesting conversation, but I also know it's gonna be and until maybe if there were certain personalities, maybe I could engage there, maybe, but I don't know. I just don't trust that I can engage with anybody and have an actual conversation.
I haven't in years, but she's referring to one that I did engage with.
Did it come to any conclusion that either side heard either side?
Your wisdom of not engaging is very, very high, very, very legit and very respectable.
One time to a family member, close family member, who this was during COVID, that posted something, and I was just like, I couldn't take it anymore because it'd been like the 8th post or something in like a couple days, and I looked up the article and read it, and like the source was so bad, and it was just, and I was like, I just finally just said, hey, did you actually read the article? Like, just let me know if you read the article, and then we can talk. And it didn't go anywhere. She didn't say anything. Yeah. But I don't know if I offended her. I saw her at Sunday dinner.
I've offended.
I don't know.
I've offended a few people, and it's not worth it to me. It's just like they're getting.
And after, it didn't.
They're getting
anything.
their algorithm. Yeah. I'm actually willing to. I read their stuff that they're throwing out there and in earnest, and I'm like, well, I've got a few problems with a few things. Anyway, it's having that. Well, what did you say? Animal farm. There's a lot of sheep, and it really is the most disturbing thing.
And it's
ending.
That we can't talk to people about that because
I walk in, my
like
knee's shot. You'll appreciate this. I need a partial. I need a sports guy. You're going to have to look up one for me because maybe if they do a good job on me, they can redo yours someday in about 15, 20 years. Let's get some time out of it. Anyway, I walk in, I get a text. Your appointment is this time, or whatever. And I get another one. And please wear a mask. The flu season is very severe this year, and we're asking all our patients to wear a mask. And no way in hell am I going to wear a mask. I'm not going to do that. I didn't do it then. I'm not doing it now. Yeah, this was last week, and I said no, I'm not. I'm not blooming doing it. So I walk in. I'm loaded for bear to tell them where to go and how to get there, or nicely that I'm not gonna. Not a person said a thing. I get to the back with the gal that's taking the blood pressure and all that. I said, thank you so much for not wearing a mask. It makes me feel so much less.
We had to put it out or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm just like thinking to myself, I don't understand I don't understand it. And I just thought right when it was gone, you just had a few idiots out there that you'd see still. Right when it was gone, I saw a whole room full of them. And it's like, I'm not a big fan. So again, it's like, okay, let's algorithm, come up with something about.
I got it.
Oh, good. He's got it.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.